You said it, Mal. Okay, everybody, now it's time to work out your thumbs. Everybody put your green thumbs up. Frank Flowers is here for you to answer your questions. Hi, Frankie. 2 green thumbs up for you, buddy. Yes. Okay, so let's get right to it.
Yeah, we're getting to a long weekend, so people are talking about gardening more than ever. So we've got a ton of calls and emails. We'll start with Deborah from Tiny, Ontario. Good morning, Deborah.
Good morning, Deborah.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're well. How are you doing this morning?
Just fine.
Frankie's on the line. He's listening attentively, and he cannot wait to hear your questions. So shoot.
Okay, Frankie, we live up on Thunder Beach, very, very wooded area. My yard is probably half moss and half grass, and I'm trying to figure out if I can save the lawn, if there's a seed I can use. What do I do?
Okay, thanks, Deborah. Yeah, thanks for your question. So the reason why you have moss in your lawn is, number one, is usually moss grows in an area which will be highly compacted, usually a clay-based soil with a high acidity level and then a lot of shade. So how can we reduce the level of moss? What we can do is aerate. So aerating the lawn will actually reduce the amount of compaction that's there, and that's by pulling those little plugs out. We can try to get rid of some of the shade. You said it's a wooded area, but maybe do some pruning. And then the other thing we can do is put down some lime to neutralize the amount of acidity that's in the grass itself, that area. Then what we can be using is more of a shade-type grass seed. That shade-type grass seed would allow you to then grow grass if that's what you want. If you want to also, what's really popular now is mixing some grass seed with white clover. Mixing white grass seed and clover together will grow in those shaded spaces, and it'll look nice. Clover's easy to walk on, but it won't give you that perfect lawn. So those are my recommendations for you.
That's perfect. I think I'll go with clover.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice choice.
Yeah, it's a great way, yeah.
And send us a photo after you've done that and let us know how it goes out there, Deborah. Thank you so much for your call. Thank you, Frankie.
We want to see how it grows.
Yeah, we do.
How it all grows.
Yeah. All right. So next up, Frankie, we got an email from Ryan. Yeah, we got the pun. There are multiple grub control products available now. Is there an ideal time to apply them?
Ooh.
Yeah, so if you're wondering what is a grub, so those that are probably watching right now and don't know what a grub is, it exists in your lawn, and it's a larvae, so it's like whitish kind of wormy looking thing with a brown head that then will mature into a beetle, a June beetle. And they eat on the roots of grass and cause a lot of problems. So if skunks and raccoons are digging up your lawn right now, they're usually looking for grubs. There are several products that are available, and the grubs are up close to the surface. I was doing some lawn repair on my own lawn, and I found the grubs. They were right there. They're up. So that means that we can do an application. One of the better products that's on the market right now is called Grub Begone. It's Grub Begone Max. It's actually a Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a bacteria, totally safe to use. But how it works is you apply it as a granular, you water it in, it goes down in and infects the grub and basically will not allow it to eat anymore. And that's how it controls them overall. So check out Grub Begone Max, and yeah, you can use it now.
Great tip. We've got Rocco on the line. Good morning, Rocco. What is your question for Frank Beragini?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my question is, I have a Japanese maple. I think it's called a national Japanese maple, and I want to know if I can prune it now because it's starting to bud. That's my question for Frankie.
Great question. Great question. A lot of the times we think about pruning in the spring. The fear that we have with the maple is right now the maple sap is actually flowing quite nicely. So if you wanted to do some light pruning, so some of the smaller branches I would agree with, but some of the larger branches I would want you to hold off until it fully foliates, fully leaves out, and then you can do some selective pruning at that time. The ideal time to be pruning a Japanese maple is when it's in dormancy, so more so towards late winter is really the ideal time. And also for others out there with Japanese maples, what happened this year with many of them is they actually left their leaves on during the winter, and people think they're dead. They're actually not. It's just something that occurred with the weather last year. As the new buds flush out, it'll drop those leaves. So once again, light pruning, no problem, but any of those larger stems, I would hold off until it fully puts all its leaves on.
Oh, good tips. Just leave it be. Yeah. Okay, up next.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Rocco. We've got another email, Frankie. This one says, my lawn is slow to grow, and looking at it sometimes, it seems thin and patchy. What is the best way to revive my lawn? It's coming from SB.
Yeah. And we can see the picture there, and a lot of the times the reason why we have a patchy lawn is due to the environment. So we can see there's some trees on there, maybe they're high traffic flow areas. So with that, the same thing. We got to pick the right seed. We want to maybe reduce compaction. There is one product which is called Lawn Response. It's actually got seed, mulch, fertilizer. You put it in a spreader, you put it across, but then you have to water it. But ideally what we want to do is improve the area, and sometimes if the soil quality is really poor there, we want to do a top dressing of soil and then put some seed down. A reminder, grass seed doesn't germinate until it's 15 to 17 degrees. So now that temperatures are warming, now is the time. It's a little later this season in southern Ontario, but across the country right now I'm looking at average temperatures. Now is the time where you can be doing that overseeding with grass seed, no problem. And check out Lawn Response 911.
Frankie, we're going from seeds to cedars. I also love cedars. They're bright, green, beautiful, but Elsa's on the line with a question. She has a problem with hers. Good morning, Elsa. What's your question for Frankie?
Morning, everyone. Hi, Frankie. My question is, I have a hedge of cedars, and they're against the fence, but in the middle of them, they are brown, like really brown, and the leaves are falling. And so the other day when I was putting down the soaker hose, I thought, should I brush them off? Should I shake them off? Or what should I do?
Yeah, so the reason why they're brown in the center points is now that the growth is getting really thick, what happens in those center points, there's no light, there's no airflow. So indeed, those areas will go to that browning. And that's the best thing that you can do, is just really shake the cedars, try to get as much as that brown out. That'll improve airflow. That'll also make sure that there's no rotting that'll happen in the center. So doing that's perfect. That soaker hose, so ideal, because cedars do like their feet a little bit wet. And you can, now that things are actively growing outdoors, you could do a fertilizing of a fertilizer that's formulated with a higher first number for nitrogen for evergreens. So you can even do a slow release, like a shake and feed fertilizer for that as well.
That's great.
All right, another email here, Frankie. This is regarding Carol's succulent. She said, I turn my dish around frequently, big window behind it. What am I doing wrong, Frankie? And yeah, my little guy, Stuart, I replanted him. Frankie, I showed you a video on the weekend.
Drooping.
Similar kind of situation. What are we doing wrong here?
Devo, you have so much experience with Stuart. Tell about Stuart, and how is Stuart doing today?
Stuart's good. He's enjoying his new home. Frankie was very proud of me. I replanted my little succulent from a small little pot into a bigger pot, and he's doing all right. But same issue, like he's a little droopy. So what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
Carol's got a great succulent going there. Yeah.
Yeah, so often with succulents, we got to remember that a succulent is indeed almost from the cacti family. And although it does still require water, it doesn't require a lot of water. They like an arid, dry kind of environment. So with that, overwatering is number one, that a reason why people tend to fail at succulents. Allowing them to dry out in between is really key. The rotating of the pot, if you're wondering why she keeps spinning her pot, is to make sure that it's getting even light. So by spinning that pot will work over time. The next thing is with repotting. If it's just outgrown that pot, repotting will benefit, but a succulent likes to have its feet fairly tight, meaning that it doesn't want to go into too large of a pot when you're upsizing that pot. So if it's in a 4-inch pot, you would want to go to a 6. If it's in a 6-inch pot, you would want to go to an 8. But by doing those things will really be beneficial. But I guarantee by the look of that, if you just cut back on your watering and then also make sure that it's a more arid environment, open up the windows, some good airflow, it'll really benefit from that.
Awesome. Now, Frankie, we know a lot of people are doing gardening with small spaces, be it on countertops, condo balconies. And Zelda writes in from Newmarket saying, I planted cherry tomatoes. They're 3 inches tall now. The leaves are turning brown. Have they been over-fertilized, and when should I transplant to the... Oh, she's on the call.
I think we have Zelda on the phone, actually.
Zelda!
Yeah.
Hi, Zelda.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning.
Please relay your question to Frankie.
Yeah,
Thank you. You'll do a much better job.
Yeah. So I've got these nice little tomato plants. I've got 5 cherry tomatoes that I grew from seeds from tomatoes from last year, actually. And they're about 2 to 3 inches tall, and I just don't know when to transplant them. And the other thing is the leaves are getting a bit brown on them, and I don't know why.
And did you fertilize?
Yes, I actually used eggshells and mixed it in with the soil.
Okay. That's good. So it wouldn't be a fertilizer burn. So just let you know, the eggshells wouldn't cause that browning of the tips of the leaves. That browning of the tips of the leaves can be several different variables. Could even be the type of water that you have in your home. So a lot of the times when you're watering seedlings, a good reminder is just to pour out a whole bunch of water into a container and let that water stand for about 24 hours before watering. That'll help out. Now that they're about 3 to 4 inches in height, you can transplant them to a larger pot, and then eventually you'll put them outdoors, but you want to harden them off. You want to get them used to the amount of sunlight outdoors and the amount of cooler conditions. So you can start putting them outside during the days and then bringing in at night. But after this weekend, we can be planting our tomatoes no problem in the gardens or in pots directly if you are in a condo. So I wouldn't worry about fertilizer burn. I would really want you to make sure that you're kind of hardening them off before you put them outdoors. And then maybe just repotting it one pot size up before you put it out into your larger pot that it'll stay within for the season.
Thanks, Zelda. We've got another caller. One last one to get in.
Last one is from Wendy. Good morning, Wendy.
Morning, Wendy.
Morning. Hi, Frankie. My question is, when my mom had passed, I had taken some of her tiger lilies from her garden. I took about 6 or 8 plants. Now, a couple of years ago, they've sort of taken over my garden. They're growing up on my steps, down on my sidewalk. I'm just wondering, how do you stop them from spreading? My whole front yard is a garden, and they're kind of taking over.
Yeah, so that's probably the daylily variety that you have in terms, sometimes we'll call it tiger lily, and they can be invasive. So the only way that you can keep them in check is that each and every season is digging some of those areas up that they're getting into the other areas and removing them. The other thing you can do is sometimes by putting even a barrier, so sometimes a little bit of, you could dig down and put some wood around it or bury them to contain the root systems. You can do that, but really it's just about uplifting, dividing, and sharing your mother's lilies to other friends and family members. By doing that, you're going to keep them in check, but that's a little bit of extra work that happens, but that's just the world of what it comes with when you have a perennial plant like a lily that can just grow and grow and grow.
Thanks, Frankie. You're so knowledgeable. Thank you for answering all those questions, as you always do, and keep them coming. We love that.
Yeah.
We're learning something new every day, even though we don't really garden ourselves.
I do a lot of gardening in my condo. That's what I said, Stuart, from one pot to the other pot.
I'm proud of you, though.
It's baby steps.
You're giving Stu a lot of TLC.
Baby steps.
Hey, we're going to go from stew to salads.
Yes.
Okay, Andrew Bucket is here. I'm excited about it. We got your bean, your macaroni, your pasta kicked up a notch right after this.